The NFL playoffs kick off this weekend, and the second-seeded New England Patriots take on the seventh-seeded Los Angeles Chargers on Sunday. Joining us to talk about the matchup is CBS Sports NFL staff writer Tyler Sullivan. And Tyler, great to be with you, and great to be talking to you in this scenario where the Patriots are in the NFL playoffs as the number 2 seed. And of course, a 14-3 regular season, tied for the best record in the NFL with the Denver Broncos, who get the 1 seed. But I want to start off with this. Do you view the Patriots as the favorite in the AFC?
You know, Joe, it's really interesting. I don't view them as the favorite in the AFC, but it's not like there's this juggernaut that's lurking around the conference. And really, that's kind of been the theme around the NFL this entire season, right? There's no Kansas City this year. There's no like Joe Burrow coming out of nowhere. Lamar Jackson's not involved in the playoffs. And so it just doesn't feel like this is one of those years where there's that clear-cut favorite. Even go to the NFC. The defending Super Bowl champions are in the playoffs, and it doesn't feel like the defending Super Bowl champions are about to go back-to-back. So what I mean by all that is that, yeah, I don't view the Patriots as the clear-cut, set-and-forget favorite in the AFC to come out of the conference. But at the same time, would it shock me if all of a sudden Mike Vrabel leads this team to the AFC Championship, knocking on the door of Santa Clara for Super Bowl 60? Absolutely not. But I just think that there are teams in the AFC right now that are a bit more dangerous than the New England Patriots. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are one team in particular that maybe if they weren't named the Jacksonville Jaguars, then maybe people would take them a little bit more seriously. But the way Trevor Lawrence is playing right now, I think that team is really scary. I think the Houston Texans are really scary. If CJ Stroud starts to figure it out, pair him with that defense, there's a lot to like there. And of course, Josh Allen in Buffalo, he could be the great equalizer in this entire conference. So the Patriots certainly in that mix, absolutely in the conversation. Would not shock me if they got to a Super Bowl, but it's a little bit early to call them the clear-cut favorites.
All right, so as it's related to all of that you just mentioned, what do you view as the Patriots' biggest obstacle here in the postseason?
I think one of the things, if we're looking at them in particular, it's their red zone defense. And now a lot of that has been due to injuries on that side of the ball. They're maybe finally getting healthy, so maybe it does improve. But you're looking at a red zone defense this season where you're bottom third in the NFL, actually bottom 3 in the NFL, over 60% touchdown rate when the opponent gets into the red zone. At Gillette Stadium, it's even higher. It's above 70%. Their opponents are scoring touchdowns when they get into the red area. And when you're facing tougher and tougher competition as you go down this playoff route, that's maybe a fatal flaw. So that's something that I would look at there for the Patriots to say, maybe tighten it up a little bit in that red area, force field goals instead of touchdowns, and you can let Drake Maye on the other side not put too much pressure on him to go touchdown for touchdown.
How much does this deep postseason run ultimately hinge on the guys on defense that have been hurt, the Robert Spillanes of the world, Milton Williams, these guys being healthy here for the postseason?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely huge. I mean, again, you brought them in for moments like this. Now, did we think that it was going to happen in year one that we're talking about? The Patriots making a legitimate Super Bowl run? No, but you bring in a Milton Williams, who is your blue chip free agent signing. You clearly want him to be the central figure. You saw him last week, obviously get a tackle for a loss in the red zone. So that is something to hang your hat on. And obviously Robert Spillane's been a factor there as well. Carlton Davis, those new guys that they've brought in, Clavon Chase on as well. So to me, that is going to be kind of the linchpin here in terms of whether or not this team advances. If those offseason additions can improve on the defensive side of the ball by just simply getting healthy, then yeah, that is an X factor of them advancing.
I don't know what you're talking about. You and I in the preseason, we're definitely talking about this team going 14-3, right? One other thing that really nobody could have foreseen happening this year is Drake Maye being a true MVP candidate. And the hot topic in the NFL right now is, who is the NFL MVP? Is it Drake Maye or Matthew Stafford? Of course, Stafford leads the NFL in touchdown passes and also in passing yards. But Maye's got the edge in the NFL in completion percentage and then some of the advanced stats like EPA and QBR. Where do you stand in this debate? Is it Drake Maye or Matthew Stafford as your NFL MVP?
I think it's Drake Maye, and I actually don't think it's particularly close because you can look at, of course, the numbers side by side. Matthew Stafford has more touchdown passes, and he has had a tremendous season. There's no doubt about that. But me personally, I have prerequisites to win the MVP award, and one of them is that you have to win your division. The other has to be you have to be a top 2 seed in the conference. Matthew Stafford has none of those. Drake Maye has those in spades. And the other thing that I look at with them is if you take both of them out of their respective equations, what do those teams look like? Matthew Stafford, if you take him out of the Los Angeles Rams and you just put a baseline quarterback with the Los Angeles Rams, I think they're okay. Now, are they as prolific offensively as they were with Matthew Stafford? Probably not. But you take Drake Maye out of the New England Patriots and you put a generic quarterback in this ecosystem right now, I don't think that they're a playoff football team. I think that's as big of a difference that Drake Maye makes in this Patriots team. He is that good, and he has turned this around that quickly that, yes, of course, Mike Vrabel and all those offseason additions have been a factor, but he certainly taking this to this level is what puts him in that MVP conversation. In my eyes, should be the favorite.
It's been an incredible year for Drake Maye, and we'll see if it has that storybook finish here in the postseason. Let's get into the Patriots-Chargers matchup. And you have to respect Los Angeles, obviously, because you have Jim Harbaugh as their head coach. And then on top of that, an MVP caliber quarterback in Justin Herbert. You add on that, they're the 7th-ranked scoring defense in the NFL, averaging just a hair over 20 points per game allowed. What is the biggest key for the Patriots here in this matchup against the Chargers?
Well, I think you're right, first off, that this is a great chess match that we're about to see between Mike Vrabel and Harbaugh, 2 of the best coaches in the NFL, in my opinion. So it will be interesting to see how both of these coaches attack one another. But I think one of the biggest things, obviously, on the Patriots side of things is, as I referenced earlier, being more effective in the red zone, going up against one of the stouter defenses in the NFL. But I think the biggest X factor in this game in general is going to be Justin Herbert. We could talk about Drake Maye and how he performs in the playoffs. We'll see what that looks like as he gets his first taste of postseason action. But we already kind of seen Justin Herbert in the playoffs over the course of his career. He's 0-2 in the playoffs, and those showings have been pretty poor. If you remember, the first time he was in the playoffs, had a lead against the Jacksonville Jaguars, all of a sudden blew it, and they were eliminated from the playoffs in rather dramatic fashion. And then go back to last year against the Houston Texans, 4 interceptions in that loss. He only threw 3 interceptions for the entire year that season. So I wonder if we're going to see that playoff Justin Herbert in this game against the Patriots. And if so, that is something that really should help the Patriots advance.
And they hope that narrative at least continues this weekend on the Justin Herbert side of things, and that the Drake Maye narrative and the way it's risen here this year continues to grow. Tyler, appreciate the time as always. Great to chat with you, especially in this context with the Patriots back in the playoffs.